Imagine you're a musician in a jazz band. You walked in with some ideas. Sure, maybe you've got a riff you want to try, a direction you're leaning toward. But once the music starts, you're not executing a set list, you're listening, responding, tracking what's emerging in the room. And here's the thing, coaching presence works exactly the same way. This video is about a skill that separates good coaches from truly masterful ones. The ability to track what's arising in the moment for you and for your client. So let's stay with this jazz metaphor for a moment. In jazz, every musician has to hold two things simultaneously. They're playing their instrument, yes, but they're also sensing into what the other musicians are doing. When the drummer shifts the rhythm, the bassist feels it and adjusts. When the saxophone takes a solo in an unexpected direction, everyone else responds. Nobody's reading from a rigid score. They're tracking what's alive in the room and they're willing to go where it leads. That's exactly what presence requires in coaching. You came in with some ideas about what might happen, but once the conversation starts, your job is to track what's actually emerging, not what you planned. Now, here's something important. ICF has added a new marker to the competencies for 2025, and it's right here on the screen. Awareness of what is emerging for both coach and client. Why did ICF add this? Because they recognize that skilled coaches don't just execute techniques. They're not running through a mental checklist of coaching moves. What they actually do is track what's alive in the moment. They notice when something shifts. They sense when something unexpected surfaces. And this marker makes that explicit. This isn't about having a plan and executing it. It's about staying available to what's happening right now and being willing to work with whatever shows up. So what exactly are we talking about when we say emerging? Let me give you some examples. Energy shifts. Your client's tone changes. Their pace speeds up or slows down. Something in their emotional presence shifts, and you feel it. Unexpected themes. They came to talk about one thing, but something else keeps surfacing. A topic neither of you anticipated. Your own internal responses. A tightness in your chest. A sudden curiosity. An intuition you can't quite name yet. Conversation turns. The dialogue takes an unplanned direction, and there's energy in that new direction. Insight moments. Flashes of clarity that appear spontaneously for them or for you. And resistance when something feels stuck, when the client pulls back. All of this is emergence. All of it is material. Here's where it gets interesting. You're not just tracking one stream of information. You're tracking two. The external stream, what's happening for your client right now? What energy or emotion is present? What pattern is showing up in this moment? And the internal stream, what's happening for you? Your physical sensations, your intuitions, your reactions. And here's what I want you to hear clearly. Both streams matter equally. Your body is an instrument. When your chest tightens, that's data. When you feel suddenly curious about something, that's data. When something in you says, wait, there's more here, that's data too. Presence means tracking both streams simultaneously, not privileging one over the other. Let me draw a distinction that might challenge some of what you've learned. Executing is following a predetermined plan rigidly, checking off techniques from a list, staying attached to your agenda regardless of what's actually happening in front of you. Tracking is completely different. Tracking means noticing what's emerging in real time, being responsive to the present moment, following the energy in the room, working with whatever shows up. When you're executing, you might miss the most important moment of the session because you were too focused on what you plan to do next. When you're tracking, you stay available. You see what's alive, and you respond to that, not to your agenda. Let me give you a concrete example. You prepare to explore career goals. That's what the client said they wanted to work on. Professional development opportunities, maybe a promotion. But as the session unfolds, something else keeps showing up. They keep circling back to a relationship conflict with their manager. Every time you try to move toward career planning, the conversation drifts back to this tension. That's emergence. Something else is alive for them right now. Now, what do you do with that? Do you force the conversation back to career goals because that's what you agreed to? Or do you recognize that the relationship issue is what actually needs attention? This is the choice point. And tracking emergence means you see it, you don't ignore it. Now let's talk about the internal stream, because coaches often dismiss their own responses as irrelevant or unprofessional, something to push aside. But your body is responding to something meaningful in the conversation. When you notice, my chest tightened when they said that, that sensation is data. Your body is picking up on something beneath the surface. Your intuitions and physical sensations offer valuable information. The key is to track them without judgment. Don't analyze, don't dismiss, just notice. Notice with curiosity, because what's emerging for you might point to what's emerging for them. You're not separate from this conversation. You're in it, and your responses are part of the data. Let me name 3 mistakes I see coaches make with emergence. First, rigid attachment. Staying stubbornly committed to the agenda when something else is clearly alive and asking for attention. The client keeps circling back to something and you keep dragging them back to the plan. Second, dismissing internal data. Ignoring your own internal responses as irrelevant or unprofessional. Treating your body's wisdom as noise instead of signal. Third, technique over presence. Missing emergence entirely because you're so focused on executing the next coaching technique perfectly. You're thinking about your next question instead of tracking what's actually happening. All 3 mistakes have the same root. You're prioritizing your plan over their reality. So here's what I want you to take from this. Presence means staying available to what's happening now, not what you planned. You're tracking 2 streams simultaneously. What's arising for the client and what's arising for you. Both matter. Both are data. This isn't about having a plan and executing it. It's about noticing what's emerging in you and in your client right now and being willing to work with whatever shows up. Now, you've learned to track emergence, but tracking is only step 1. The question is, what do you actually do with what emerges? That's where we're headed next.